Flosstube. My name is Aimee. I'm the Black Cat Stitcher here on YouTube and on Instagram. And this is my fourth Flosstube. Before I get started with all the stitchy stuff, I do have a cat door here. As you can see, this is a new addition. My dad was here this past week and I had a little bit of a staycation here, helping him put up a cat patio outside, and that through my window is the door. So you might see my cats come in and out here through the window here during the video. Also, I did get my gecko and I decided to name him Truffle. He is tiny. So wow. I'm not going to show him quite yet. He's still adjusting to his new living space, plus, like I said, he's so little. I'm almost slightly afraid to pick him up because I'm afraid that if he jumps, I'll lose him and I'll never find him again, because he can fit in pretty much any nook and cranny anywhere in my house. But yeah, those are some quick life updates out of the way. Also, you may have noticed in my past videos that the sound has cut in and out, and I'm hoping that this video won't do that. I'm getting used to this Flosstube thing, and I'm trying to figure out exactly what it is that's happening and why it's doing that, but I will try my best for that not to happen in the future. Alright, now on to the stitchy stuff. This week has been the week where I've gotten a lot of progress on very few whips. So I don't have as much to show you this time, but I have made a lot of leaps forward on the things that I did work on. So let's first start with my focus piece. And Dad, if you're watching, look away, this is the time. Because I don't think I've mentioned this in my previous videos, but this is a gift from my dad, and he does watch my Flosstubes, so, and he doesn't want to have his gift spoiled. But anyway, this is Star Wars Cross Stitch by Nina Olson Embroidery on Etsy, and I did my mini-sewed on this when I was trying to move the Q-snap, because I thought I was going to cover up what I had just completed. And in my endless optimism, I believed that I was going to be able to get back to it and stitch some more on it. But of course, that did not happen. So I have not even put it back on the Q-snap. So this is where I was at. I finished Yoda and Darth Vader, and I'm moving on to Darth Maul. He's the next character. This weekend, I am going to be putting it back on the Q-snap, and I'm going to start. That is a fact, and you will see some more progress on this during my next Flosstube. The next one that I worked on is this is the next whip that I worked on. And this one I got a lot of progress on because, like I had mentioned in my previous Flosstube, I had run out of color for my focus piece, which I usually work on during the weekends. However, I didn't want to keep working and have to move the, Q-snap back once I had that color delivered. So I chose to spin my Tiny Decisions wheel and select a different focus piece for this previous weekend, which was this one. This is Watercolor City, or this is what I'm calling it anyway. And yeah, I had only had like a small strip of this dark blue here on the bottom. So within the Q-snap, I color completed this dark blue. This is and then I went to the top of the color list, picked a color, and then just started color completing a whole bunch of colors in here. I believe this is like the pink cloud haze that's gonna up here, I believe in the bottom corner here, the is part of the city, like the top of the city. So I'm really excited to see this pan out, but of course I am a top left starter, and it's mostly sky at this point, but at least I'm not just stitching blue. That's nice. Next, I worked on my Totoro bookmark, and I color completed the this one. Oops. Here is the Totoro, what it's going to look at in the end. It's from Stitch's Lover's Shop on Etsy, and it's a set of 6 different bookmarks. I've completed 3, and I have 3 of them as a whip. But yeah, I've color completed the 310, and I've come back and I've started these lighter color leaves and foliage, as well as a little bit of the background here at the top. And yeah, that is where I'm at on Totoro. I'm pretty sure I messed up here. Somehow, I think he's 2 rows longer than he's supposed to be, but I fudged it and I was able to make it work. So, yeah, he doesn't look quite bad. I was worried that he might look a little oblong, because that's what happened with my first FFO that I showed you in the mini-sode with the cat. I frogged it and redid it so many times because if I fudged it, it just looked weird. Plus, it was my first ever project, so I was kind of being a perfectionist about it. Alright, and next whip, I have my mermaid bookmark. Alright, get some string out of the way. I color completed the 310. I think I did that in my last video, actually. I'm sorry. But I then came up here and did this dark pink color, which I color completed, as well as the colors, this dark and light colored clouds. This is a moon, and now I'm going to go to start on, I guess, the colors for the background of the ocean, where the fishes and the mer people are swimming. And then my second to last whip that I have to show you is my snake pattern. It's from Unique Pattern Lovers on Etsy. And this is one of my more recent starts. And the previous time that I showed you this, gosh, you can see the back through this. Oh shoot, I shouldn't have been in front of the window because it's way too bright. Anyway, in my previous videos I had done this pink flower here at the top. I've color completed quite a few within the Q-snap, not colors. I just started at the top of the, I'm gonna put something behind me so you can't see the back. There we go. Next time I'll move so I'm not in front of a bright window. But anyway, I color completed a lot of the colors here. Mostly a whole bunch of purples down here for this purple flower. And then there's a blue snake that'll wrap in between these 2 flowers. So yeah. And then what I've been working on today, which admittedly isn't that much progress, because, you know, I had to work today. I had a staycation for about 4 out of the 5 days that I work, and now I had to go back for 1 day this week. So that was a little disappointing, but oh well. Anyway, this is the Tin Man bookmark. Is my goal to color complete 310 on this tonight. I just have his head, and then there's another flying dude here, flying person up at the top that's in 310. So I'm guessing it's Peter Pan or Wendy or something like that. But that is the plan for tonight. Alright, for the second half of this, I'm going to continue talking about books that I've been reading because people seem to like that in my last video. And in my last video, I had talked about reading The Historian with my mom, and I have since finished that book. And the ending is not disappointing, but frustrating. I wish I hadn't have read the epilogue, is what I'm trying to say, basically, because it kind of leaves you with a little bit of a cliffhanger, and there is no sequel. So that frustrates the heck out of me, because I like my books to have the plot tied up in a neat bow, especially like murder mystery books. I don't like the cliffhanger ending. But other than that, it was a great book. And then there's 3 more books that I've been working on that I'd like to add. This one I had actually finished by my last video. This is Follow the River by James Alexander Thom. It was the book club book that we were reading for the previous month. It's a story based on a true story of a woman who was kidnapped by Native Americans and her grand escape through the wilderness to get back to her family. And I don't know. It's not a bad book. I've read enough books to recognize that the story is good and that there's nothing wrong with the book, but at the same time, I just couldn't get into it. I don't know if it was my cup of tea, not my cup of tea, which, I mean, honestly, it's a historical fiction, which usually is my cup of tea. It's just this book's, I don't know, I never got into the story all that much. But that was the last month's book club book. And this month's book club book is A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith. And this book is kind of the opposite. I thought I wasn't going to like it because I usually don't like, daily life books. I like, things with a little bit more action, like murder mysteries or fantasy or something like that. But this book was a really nice read because I really ended up relating with the main character. Basically, and her personality, that is. Basically, it's about a young girl who grows up in a tenement apartment in Brooklyn in New York, and it talks about basically the trials and tribulation growing up poor. And this set back in the early 1900s, prior to, I think, World War I. No, it could have been II. That it's right before, and then the end of the book, you start getting into the period where the beginning of the war, or at least America's involvement in the war, comes about. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I highly recommend. But yeah, and then the last book that I read, well, listen to. I prefer to listen to nonfiction books. It's just something that I can do easily while working, and I, get to learn things as well while I'm working. So this one is Assassination Vacation. Assassination Vacation by Sarah Vowell. And this is a nonfiction book about the first 3 presidential assassinations. So Lincoln, Cleveland, and oh gosh, I forgot the last guy's name. But anyway, the first 3 presidential assassinations, which was cool because, everybody has heard about the assassination of President Abraham Lincoln. But the other 2, I was aware that they were assassinated. However, I didn't know any of the details. But this is a nonfiction book that's kind of half nonfiction, half, I guess, travel journal style. Basically, this person, Sarah, she's narrating her own travels on I guess, a pilgrimage of sorts to all of the historical locations that were related to the assassinations of these three presidents. And she also inserts her own witty commentary, and her humor personally suits me wonderfully. She is quite sarcastic and she's wonderfully hilarious in my point of view. However, some of the jokes and things that she does say are political and religious in nature. And if those are sensitive topics for you, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this. I personally don't mind talking about politics or religion in books because, quite frankly, I'm pretty open-minded and I'll listen to just about anybody and the things that they believe in, although, you know, I may not agree. It's still interesting to learn what others may think out there. So that particular aspect of it didn't bother me, but it may bother others because those are, like I said, sensitive topics. But I really enjoyed that book. It was usually nonfiction books are quite dry sometimes and they're super fact-filled. So I particularly enjoy, you know, nonfiction books that are told like they're a story, like the others that I've recommended in the past, or things like this that are funny and witty, and it makes them a lot easier to digest for your average person. You know, I work in a history museum and I've had an interest in history and culture, you know, so those particular, you know, books from those about those particular subjects don't necessarily bore me, but that's a niche that I enjoy, I suppose. So yeah, those are the books that I've read for this week. Going forward, I mean, with the books, I'm not quite sure, you know, some weeks there may be 3 or more like this, or some weeks there may not be any at all, but I would like to continue in the future talking about my second hobby, reading. Alright, so to wrap up the video, I suppose I should talk a little bit about my plans for cross-stitch and a little bit, I guess, for reading. So first of all, for cross-stitch plans, I had talked in my previous video a little bit about a thought that I was thinking about embroidering my project bags. And I did go ahead and purchase the pattern, which I didn't actually bring with me. So, one second, I will be right back. Okie dokie. Goodness. Whew. Anyway, this is the pattern. It's from Lark Rising Embroidery on Etsy. And as you can see, it's kind of a swirl, like geode type or marbling type pattern. I'm going to trace this, but remove some of these lines. So the satin stitches are a little bit thicker. Also, this is kind of a choose your own journey type thing. She has some suggested colorways that she has within the pattern because it's more of a booklet. It also gives you, you know, how-tos on how to satin stitch and a little bit about color theory and giving you tips and tricks to choosing your color patterns. So I've decided that I'm going to do that on all of my bags, except I'm going to choose different colors for each bag. I'm going to use the there's 2 or 3 suggested color patterns. Well, jewel tones, I think warm tones is another one, and maybe I think cool tones was also another one. I'm going to use those 3, and then I'm going to come up with my own colors for the other 3 bags. Or wait, I have 7 whips, so 4 bags. And then I don't know exactly what I'm going to do for the other four. I'm thinking a rainbow, like primary colors as close to the primary, red, um, yellow, green, blue, violet as possible. And I was previously thinking of also doing bags in different shades of the same color, like different shades of red or different shades of blue. But I don't know about that anymore. It might be a little bit boring compared to the other colorways, because especially the jewel tones one that she recommends in the booklet is pretty vibrant, and I want to keep in that same line. So I'm not exactly sure what the others are going to be, except for the rainbow. I'm probably going to do that one for sure. But yeah, if you have any suggestions of different color themes for the other bags, leave them in the comments. I have absolutely no idea. I've been thinking about it for a while, and I can't think of any more than what the four that I've already thought of. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. I've added that to my decisions wheel, so that would possibly be a new start for the next upcoming video. And hopefully I'll be able to, touch a few more whips. I, was kind of more of a monogamous stitcher this week because, I had a lot more time with my staycation to stitch while my dad was here. So yeah, that is it, I believe, for my fourth Flosstube. And yeah, bye, and I will see you in another 2 weeks.